Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside of turn number 6.
Possible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yana Watmere is your champion.
Well, welcome back to PSGL and welcome to round number 6. It is Hungary, it's beautiful, and it is Budapest. I'm very impressed with that intro, but I am also very happy to be back alongside the lovely, as ever, Omi. First and foremost though, how are you, my friend? It's been a long week.
Doing well, but yes, we finally reached today, and that means PCF2 time as well. So yeah, been an interesting week. Great to have you back, and congratulations. You're the first repeat commentator that we've had this season, other than myself. So well done. Someone's returned back to me. Someone actually likes me. Lovely.
Yes, very much so. Very much. It was a pleasure to be alongside you last week. And, well, an interesting race last week, and one that certainly did not go away without a little bit of controversy as well. Few penalties removed, a few added. Talk us through it, Omi. What does the race result actually look like after everything's panned out?
Well, it has changed quite a lot, and the driver who qualified in 13th ended as the winner, and his name is Liam Stevens, taking a second win of the season. An extraordinary job by himself. He got a penalty removed, so he's basically given himself the win then. So with that penalty removed, he was able to get promoted. Ripassa, the other driver, now he won on the circuit and he would have won the race overall. He got his penalty removed, but then had 3 seconds added on top of it as well. So it's an absolute mess, but Ripassa ended in 4th. It was Angelo Di Ortenzio, the driver who's taken 4 pole positions in a row. He managed to get 2nd, and it was 3rd place for Jan Halliday, 2 P3 in a row for him. So the results changed a lot, as you mentioned. It was also Conrad Bohm and Leo Lund who got a penalty as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this one's going to go. But lots of drivers coming off penalties with a lot to fight for today.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously, Luca Ripassa, quite a big loser in the end, really, because, he lost he got 3 seconds added, and those 3 seconds could have and would have made a bit of a difference to his race. So, unfortunate for him, but he still does come away with a solid 4th place, but it would have been first had he had that 3 seconds not added on to his race time after that 10-second penalty was removed. But yeah, no, looking quite nice and dandy going into tonight, and definitely going to be yet another interesting race. Hungary, bit of a difficult circuit to overtake at. That is definitely a true statement, and I don't think anyone's going to be disagreeing with me in the chat on that one. But Liam Stevens, that gap at the top, very slim now, just 3 points in it between himself and Angelo D'Ortenzio, and then Leo Lund 1 point further behind, and then, Luca Ripassa only 8 further behind. So 12 points separating the top 4. It's a lot closer than it looked last time out, because a bit of an outlier of a result for Liam Stevens.
Yeah, Liam Stevens bolting himself forward and all the way to the championship lead. We mentioned there would be plenty of changes that would come in this championship battle, and that was the case. And Liam Stevens able to capitalize. A great drive from him, as we mentioned, 1 week ago. But the question mark will go to what's going to take place around Hungary. We've learnt so far across the season that it has been quite tricky. So it's going to be it's going to be really interesting to see how this one's going to play. I'm being told that the mic is glitching a little bit. Hopefully we can quickly get that sorted. Luckily, we've got this pre-show going on at the moment, so we're still waiting for the qualifying, so we'll be able to get that fixed for you.
Yeah, we'll have a little look into it. I'm not sure too much can be done about it. It might be just a Discord thing with how it compresses audio, annoyingly. But we will have a look and see if there's anything we can do. But, yeah, definitely going to be an interesting one going into tonight. Obviously, a stacked lineup, as always. And, yeah, going to be hopefully very good racing and action. But just as, I think, yeah, we're not expecting a huge amount of overtakes here tonight. I don't think that's something that we can exactly say is, a long shot prediction. Hungary is such a difficult track to overtake at. You have got 2 DRS zones, but making an overtake, you've got to be so close to the car in front, and especially with dirty air a little bit more pronounced on this game, it's going to be all the more difficult, but it is really going to separate the boys from the men, I think, because, you really have got to really put it all on the line to make an overtake around here.
You do, and you have to go for some brave moves, and it's going to be a balance, I think, the drivers will need to find, because we've seen plenty of times across the season, it can lead to contact. So that's what they're going to have to be careful of, and that's what they're basically going to have to try and avoid. It is going to be vital in terms of how they approach things, because we're at this phase of the season where if one mistake happens, it could be very costly when it comes to their championship.
Yeah, and yeah, we are, as you say, getting to that stage. I mean, we haven't got that much longer to go. It sounds a bit of an interesting thing to say, only half. We haven't got that long to go, because, yeah, Hungary, we are at that midpoint in the season. We have got Bahrain next week, followed by a break week, and then Texas, Japan, Vegas, Brazil, and Mexico, so a stacked calendar, a lot of fan favourite circuits, and I would say this is, maybe Hungary and Japan are probably 2 of the hardest circuits to really make an overtake at. So a couple of tracks, here kind of qualifying so important, and that could really benefit the man who has been on pole position 4 times in a row. That man could absolutely be really licking his lips here. Angelo D'Ortenzio, he has a good chance of being in a great place for this race.
He does. He's been the master of qualifying. Let's see whether he can master the race. Only one time so far this season he has been able to convert it. So that's going to be the interesting thing, to see whether he will be able to get back to his form that he had in Saudi Arabia and what he managed in that race. It's going to be quite tight. It's going to be quite tight. It's going to be quite tense. But qualifying is something that he's got answered. I think we've learned that across this season.
Absolutely nailed down to a pinpoint, which is great for him, and I'm sure that's really going to be inspiring him with a bit of confidence going into tonight. But let's not get complacent. 18 minutes of qualifying, he could have an off weekend, and it could just be that the one time he really needs it is the one time it doesn't happen. But this qualifying session is certainly going to be interesting, because we have this thing called rain.
Well, we had F3. That was wet earlier on. It was a wet to dry session in terms of their qualifying. We've arrived into F2, and it appears like it's the same thing once again. So F3 and F2 both getting the experience of the wet, and it's going to completely change things over, and it's going to make this qualifying session a lot more complicated than the drivers would have wished for.
That's an understatement, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to make this qualifying session completely flipped on its head, especially if the race is dry as well, because these drivers are now going to have to get used to wet running for the next 18 minutes in this qualifying session. And if the race is dry, all of a sudden they've got to go back to dry, dry level pace, and it's undoubtedly, if this keeps up, is likely to cause a little bit of a slip-up, but that could be all the more interesting.
Really could. That's what makes qualifying great. I was mentioning the F3 session that we had about an hour ago, and that was basically exactly what wet conditions can produce. It was basically the session being fought for all the way till the end, and it was a circuit that was improving. Whether that will be the same case here, that's a different story. We're going to find out as the cars make their way around this circuit, and it's going to be a circuit that right now has seen rain in previous seasons, so the drivers have definitely dealt with that previously before around this magnificent circuit, and they've had quite the challenge around this place in previous seasons, whether it be dry even. So let's see how the wet weather will go. Let's see how it is going to go for the drivers in terms of them, because realistically not a lot of them do practice for these conditions, so it can be quite the curveball thrown, as we already talked you through, when they do meet these conditions when they head into the session.
Indeed, as you can see there on the right-hand side of your screen, the rain could stop by the end of this qualifying session, so definitely going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on, but this qualifying session is firmly underway now, and Nelson Alves is one of the first drivers to properly kick us off in this session. It's difficult to really get a grasp on who's going very fast in this session because of how early doors it is. We are in such an early stage, and we don't really know what a good time looks like because the conditions are so yo-yoing in this session, but Nelson Alves doing a good job at keeping it on the road for the time being, but definitely not a lap of dreams.
Yeah, and the drivers will be getting themselves currently the drivers will currently be getting themselves just embedded in with the circuit. With the conditions that they've got, it will be a bank lap, which will, some areas. They will try and see what can happen, and it's going to be a trial and error type session. It's going to be risk versus reward, where they've all got to try and see what they have available to them, and then go on the attack from there. Of course, when you get to the end of the session, it's the part of the session where you want to push. You've got 1 point available for pole position, and that's what everyone will want to go for as we get the lap times coming on the board.
Indeed, yeah, laps coming onto the board now, and well, PSGL Ranieri, good lap time for him, but Angelo D'Ortenzio is on a lap time now. Purple sector 1 for him. This is a man you really want to keep an eye on.
Really is. You really want to keep an eye on drivers like him as well. Angelo D'Ortenzio, though, the driver who has been on pole, as we mentioned, 4 times in a row, chasing 5. That is just something you don't see in competitions like this, in close competitions like this as well. And he has a different type of session, though, because they've all been done in the wet. They've all been done in the dry, rather. Now he's got a wet session. Let's see whether he can try and find the same time. He's navigating his way through this second sector, about to go into the third, full push, as he will navigate his way through turn 13, followed by the 14th and final corner on the circuit, and then it will be about standing on the power and see where you can get to in terms of your lap time.
Indeed, yeah, around that final bend now, Angelo D'Ortenzio, 2 purple sectors to the top of the timesheets, and by a healthy 5/10 margin there. That is what you want to see if you are Angelo D'Ortenzio. We know he has qualifying pace in absolute bundles. Comrade Bohm, not a good lap time for him. He will not be particularly best pleased with that. A few improvements though, as Andre Molnar there goes up into 6th place in this session. So plenty of drivers making improvements here. Some opting for a second lap, others coming in right at the end of the first. PSGL Ranieri is, I believe, on a bit of a recharge lap. Looks like he might be going again, as there's a V-carb in the back. I believe that's Luca Ripassa there as well. So plenty of drivers opting for a bit of an alternative qualifying session to what you'd usually have, but Gabor Kontos now coming across the line.
Let's see what he's going to be able to do indeed. Up to 11th position for the driver who had contact with Ranieri 1 week ago. So he is going to find himself trying to bounce back. He was the retirement, and that is what, Byron, caused our safety car. last time out, which absolutely changed the race completely, which is why we ended up with the result that we did, which is why Liam Stevens went from 13th all the way to the win. It was contact, unfortunately, for those two drivers, as Tony Hietala. That's a good lap for the driver, who is chasing a good result, who is chasing a return of form after the season that he has had. He was our first pole sitter to start the season, and well, other than Angelo Di Ortenzio, it has really just been those two who have found themselves as pole sitters this season. That is how much Angelo Di Ortenzio has been able to take control, and Tony Hietala looking to try bounce back, and they are 1 and 2 in the session at the moment.
Indeed, but PSGL Ranieri may have something to say about this one, because the Veloce Academy man is coming up to the line and going to the top of the timesheets by over a tenth of a second, but replaced by Luca Ripassa. It is definitely ramping up here around the Hungaroring, as there are lots of improvements. Liam Stevens next across the line, he'll find himself up into second, so everybody making real strides here on those second runs that a lot of people opted to go for. Joe Murphy has also opted to do the same. He'll go up to 6th place. That's a good lap from him and takes him a bit closer towards his teammate. That is what he needs in this session. Gabo Contos will also come across the line, but he will not improve. It says 3 green sectors. I'm not sure I fully believe that, as Florian goes into 13th place as well. I believe that was Sergio Sabrina beginning a hot lap as well. Plenty of laps now starting to come through, and it's very difficult. There's no real third run, first run, second run. It's just everyone going out for themselves, really. And well, Luca Ripassa is the man on form at the moment.
He is on form indeed, as you mentioned. Ripassa will try and convert that up to 5th position to go with Lukomski. It was a great result last time, I have to say, for Lukomski to get his first points of the season and finish himself in P5. It was really great to see him being a contender, and Lukomski will try and continue that. It was a good qualifying, followed by a good race, which shows that if he can master this qualifying session, he's going to leave himself with all to play for come the Grand Prix.
Indeed, yeah, plenty of drivers in a good place at the moment to try and get themselves really in contention here. Good opportunity for those who are particularly strong in the wet as well to give themselves a good starting place, especially at this sort of circuit. That starting position's so important, and they've got an opportunity to really take a good stride here and make a good improvement. Gabo Contos goes up to 6th. That's a very good lap time. I believe that's his 3rd lap on that set of tyres as well. So definitely more pace to find if he came in for a fresh set of tyres, possibly. Nelson Alves also on a solid improvement as well. He'll come around the final bend now. I believe that is a race in front of him. So yeah, Nelson Alves across the line improves by over a second, goes up to 5th. That's a good lap time for Nelson Alves. Plenty of improvements to be found across the circuit, as well, a little bit of a dull moment for now, but there is so much going on and plenty of drivers on outlaps.
Leo Lund went to 2nd place. Leo Lund with his first contest, 1 week ago, with his first contest of the season. He was not in the points. He has found himself with the worst result of 4th until last time out at Silverstone, where he was given a penalty and where he finished 9th on the road, ended in 15th. So that was a big blow to his championship, well, the championship lead. Now he's only 4 points off the championship lead coming into this round. That's the advantage he built up. He built it up, and that advantage basically faded away with 1 round, as up to pole position goes the Aston Martin driver of Jan Halliday. We mentioned he is the in-form man at the moment with his 2 back-to-back podiums, and if he can get pole position from this qualifying session, it will definitely leave himself to a good chance of getting a good result come the race. So it's Halliday, Ripassa, Lund, Stevens and PSGL Ranieri, our top 5 at the moment. We've got 7 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock to go. The drivers will continue pushing on as they try and chase the improvement. Let's see how it is all going out in his final stages, where the circuit will hopefully be getting better and better, and the drivers of course getting more confident around this venue.
Indeed, yeah, plenty of drivers coming across, and Jan Halliday, we caught that last kind of third of that lap from him. And yeah, he was delivering honestly phenomenal sectors there, as I believe that's Andre Molnar then, who's gone right up towards the top of the timesheet. He slots into third place, and all of a sudden Angelo D'Ortenzio, who was the early pace setter, is finding himself down in 8th and might be having to search a little bit for an answer here, because, well, there's no one. Well, there's plenty of people in front, and there's a lot of time for him to try and find here. Over 4 tenths of a, well, just under 4 tenths of a second, between himself and pole position. But if there's anyone who fancies their chances here, it's absolutely going to be Angelo D'Ortenzio, who drifts through turn number 1.
Is the driver to keep an eye on, all the way down in 8th at the moment, as he's going to try and now navigate his way through, send it in through turn number 3, ready for the climb up towards turn 4. Cameron Dowds has gone to P3, so he's taken that place away from Molnar, and you've got both Kick Sauber drivers going on the attack, because you had Imtiaz only for a second going to the top, and now it belongs to the Haas driver of Lari Chulke. So Angelo D'Ortenzio on this lap has a higher benchmark to now aim for, but he'll also get the opportunity with the circuit improving. It's going to be fascinating to see how the second sector is looking like for the Ferrari man.
Indeed, yeah, that second sector going to be really important as Luca Ripassa goes to the top of the times. Liam Stevens now slots into second, meaning Angelo D'Ortenzio now finds himself in 11th, but 1.1 seconds of improvement. That is an absolute chunk of lap time, but at the moment, it's not going to be enough to take him all the way to the top of the timesheet, because the track is improving that much. Pasquale Ranieri all the way up to the top of the timesheets. Now, Angelo D'Ortenzio next to come across the line. Can he make an improvement that will take him to the top? Well, he absolutely does. He absolutely manages it. Now, Sergio Sabrino, what can he do? 6th across the line. The other Ferrari next, and that was Joe Murphy, who goes into 8th place. But Angelo D'Ortenzio, he wasn't looking likely to go up to the top of the timesheets, but he found the time right at the death.
Did indeed. That's what the third sector can provide to you. Now, it might look a little bit simple, but in these wet conditions, there is so much time, and every time you go through that part of the circuit, there will be improvement. It might look down through the second sector in terms of the new benchmark that is at the top, but there is still so much to be found through those final few corners. So our order now sees D'Ortenzio, Ranieri and Ripassa. That's our top 3 at the moment. Lots of drivers to push on. Conrad Bohm, 2.1 seconds off the pace. That will be the goal for the McLaren driver as well. Joe Murphy in 9th, you mentioned, reserve driver. So he will be very happy to be in that position. Will Joe Murphy right now has found himself with the best result of 14. He's only done 2 races as a reserve so far. And the other one, it was unfortunately a DNF on debut at Belgium. So let's see whether he will be able to finally get his first points paying position of the season as Conrad Bohm continues his attack through on this lap, and it's very much a needed one. He's 6 tenths up at the moment.
Indeed, yeah, it was showing us 1.1 in the first sector, so it seems he may have lost a bit of time in that second sector, maybe just pushing a little bit too hard. Tyres not maybe in the ideal window, but 3 minutes left on the clock. There is plenty of time to recharge and go again, so you won't be feeling too worried at the moment. Goes up to 6th place. That is not a bad leap, as his teammate Simon Komski goes up to 4th. That is a stonking lap from the Polish man, and well, he is absolutely going to be happy with that one. But plenty of drivers still on the track, even at this kind of little moment. And yeah, Nelson Alves is looking very good as well, as he is about second up there and 16th place on the grid at the minute, but plenty of time currently in the bank. Doesn't come into the pit lane, chooses not to, so he is going to set this lap time. There's a little drift around the final bend, and a little bit of difficulty putting the power down, but across the line up to 4th place for Nelson Alves. So a lot of improvements here, as now Florian will be the next driver to come across the line again. 6 tenths through that second sector up. Seems like there's a lot of time drivers are finding in this third and final sector What's he going to muster? Surely it's going to be somewhere into that top 10 region with about 6 tenths improvement. You'd certainly be hoping so. But around that final bend, has he gained even more time? Well, across the line, a second improvement, and that's up to 5th behind Nelson Alves. Final runs, though, about to get underway. This is definitely an interesting squabble for pole position.
Yeah, it is definitely one of our more interesting qualifying sessions of the season. They've all, to be fair, been very good when it has come to late lap times and drivers all battling for it at the end. The race expected to be tricky to overtake, so we'll see how that goes later on. That is what makes this session even more important. That's what makes getting a good result in this qualifying session so important, to give yourself a realistic and good opportunity to be able to contend and to be able to fight come our race. As Diortensio, Ranieri, Ripassa and a lot of drivers are on their out lap, they're going to be preparing for what is going to be such a vital lap, because if you don't find the improvement, you could leave yourself very much vulnerable, as everyone else will be finding time at the end of this session.
Indeed, yeah, everyone does will be seeming to find as much time as they can. So it's going to be interesting to see who is particularly vulnerable. You'd expect to say that the McLarens, who've already set a lap time, they're surely going to have to be pushing on again, because, well, they've got no other choice, really. And Conrad Bohm is going to be the first driver to come across the line and, set his final lap time. And then it's a waiting game to see how long it will take for him to find out where he is on the grid. Well, the checker flag is now falling. 1 minute 26 is the lap time looking to chase, but Conrad Bohm, a decent improvement so far on this lap. What will it be? It's up to 5th, but plenty of more drivers still to set a lap time and improvement from Simon Lukomski of about 2.5 tenths through the second sector. He'll now come across the line. Where will he go? It's going to be only 7th. He managed to have quite a poor final sector. And now Tony Huetler will go up to 6th place. That's a good improvement for him. He will certainly be happy with that. Next is Larry.
Yep, Larry Tulke. Pushing on, sliding away, trying to get the foot to the floor. Let's see what lap time it's going to be. 11th turns into 5th for Larry Tulke, and now it's going to be basically everyone finding the time. Ripassa, he's a driver you would expect to be in the battle for pole position, and there we go. A 1 minute 25.585 is the lap time to beat. He's got Molnar for company, he improves to the front row. Plenty of drivers across the line. Lund's in 5th for the moment, then it's Alves, then it's Imtiaz. Cameron Dowd finds himself in 8th. Angelo Diortensio, though, absolutely making his way right now out of the final corner. He's really going for it, and it's going to be pole position again. 5 in a row for, at the moment, for Angelo Diortensio, unless Florian Fanzelter can take it away, which he can't. And 5 pole positions in PCF2 in a row. That is unbelievable stuff from Angelo Diortensio.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. Really good for Angelo Diortensio. That is a man on form, and such an important circuit to be on pole position for. He is absolutely going to be so happy with that. Angelo Diortensio on pole position. Luca Ripassa lining up as well alongside on the front row, followed by Andrea Molnar, Jan Halliday, Pasquelli, Ranieri, Liam Stevens, Leo Lund, Nelson Alves, Race and Cameron Dowds rounding out the top 10. Kick Sauber locking out the 5th row. Sergio Sabrino, Joe Murphy, Florian, Larry, Conrad, Tony Huetler, Gabor and Simon Lukomski end up last out of all of that. Absolutely gutted for Simon Lukomski. Well, an interesting race soon to be on our hands. I am really looking forward to this one.
It's going to be fun, isn't it? It's going to be fun. It's going to be quite interesting. Oh, this is going to be a very important race start. We mentioned it's hard to overtake. We'll see how hard it is when we actually get the race going. But you want to make sure you get a good start. You really do.
Absolutely. It's going to be probably one of the most important things for these drivers is getting a clean getaway. If they get a clean getaway, they know they are in a good chance of getting a good result out of this race. That is what they're going to be looking for today. I absolutely got no doubts about that one. Clean start. And then the rest is down to their, well, respective skills, which they've got an abundance of. They will be fine on that front. They've just got to get off the line well.
That's the important thing. Get off the line, give yourself a good opportunity, and try most of all, keep it clean. Because the last thing you want is getting some front wing damage and finding yourself in quite a lot of trouble, having to make an extra pit stop and come into the pit lane to repair that front wing.
Indeed, yeah, that's the difficulty. That's the risk you're going to really run out of this one, I think. And especially at a track like Hungary, it will punish you a lot more if you end up in that sort of situation. So I think these drivers are going to be even more aware of that than usual. They're going to be taking less risks because an extra pit stop is really going to make them suffer here. And, well, it looks like we've got a dry start to the race. So they're not going to want that. There's not going to be much chaos. 5 red lights here, and it is round 6. We are going racing here in the Hungary ring, and Jan Halliday has got away not very well. For some reason, he's showing us in the lead when he is not. Angelo D'Ortenzio battling here for the lead. That is Luca Ripassa battling side by side, and now look at Angelo D'Ortenzio, Luca Ripassa side by side, nearly 3 abreast as it's 2 by 2, and nearly 2 by 2 by 2 there as we head down the hill now. Luca Ripassa leading the way here in this race. Angelo D'Ortenzio in second, followed by Andrea Molnar and Jan Halliday in 4th there, followed by Liam Stevens in 5th. But it shows Luca Ripassa in first. Do ignore that. The game is having a bit of a moment, but it will sort itself out in the not-so-distant future. But a good start for Angelo D'Ortenzio. He keeps the lead, and importantly, he has fended off a very valiant attack from Andrea Molnar.
What a start that was to the race. It was all frenetic. There was surely an issue for Kashontos and Lukumski. They have dropped down a little bit as well. It's getting very tight in the final corner. Leo Lund absolutely scrapping away for it at the moment. So he is trying his best to defend. Leo Lund had some major issues as well. Leo Lund has found himself down the order in a big way. So Leo Lund has lost out and he's all the way down in P16.
Yeah, not a good start for him so far in this session. Notice that my lovely little tie graphic is not working. I'm playing ball once again. If we get a safety car, I will fix that because that is very annoying. But yeah, Luca Ripassa, really a good start for him. Angelo D'Ortenzio, sat in second, and yeah, it's been an interesting start to the race and a good one for many, but Angelo D'Ortenzio, he's got a bit of pace to find now to try and get back ahead of Luca Ripassa.
Has indeed. The gap, that is 9/10 of a second. It is going to be important. Task number 1, keep it within the DRS, because even if you can't overtake in the first phase, at least you're going to give yourself an option, a chance to do something when it comes to the strategy. So you want to stick with your rival as well at this phase. It is so important for your race. D'Ortenzio hoping that another race does not slip away from him. It has been 5 poles in a row, but he's only been able to get 1 win out of all of it. He's hoping that this is the day where he gets another one. Ripassa with another fastest lap as he sends it over the line. D'Ortenzio really having to deploy the battery to make sure that the Racing Bulls driver still remains in his sight. And then Molnar in third, Halliday and Liam Stevens, the Aston Martin pair, together right now, completing our top 5 at the moment as we head through turn number 2 with the Aston Martins, and we're about to head to turn number 4. This fast part of the circuit, usually single file stuff for most of the drivers. Don't expect to be seeing too many side by side, but we have seen stranger things happen in previous seasons with PCF to around that part of the circuit.
Indeed, yeah, plenty of dramatic moments, especially around the Hungary ring, because as we were saying earlier on the pre-show, it's so important for these drivers. If they make a attempted move, it is really all or nothing, especially once you kind of get out of those first few laps. So you've got a bit more of an opportunity to make a move if you've got a tyre advantage or something like that in your favour. But it's a little bit more unforgiving now. These drivers have got to be a little bit more careful. But if it doesn't go right for them, it will really go absolutely wrong. It's
exactly the case, and as we will bring it round the final corner, turn number 14, and look to try to see who can make some moves further back in the field. Cameron Dowd looks like he's a driver getting interested, shaping for a little bit of a move. Of course, not going to commit there, just moving large in the mirrors at the moment in time. Laurie Chalky losing the 1 second. The driver in front of Conrad Bone is going to try his absolute best to stick with the engines. We put a move on it if they are all falling off the train, because that is the last thing that you want on lap number 4 out of a 35 lap race.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. 35 laps in this race, and such an early stage where, anything could happen at any point. The safety car could come out, similar to in last time out in Silverstone. Safety car came out quite late in the race. It really flipped everything on its head. So, the same thing could happen tonight, where all of a sudden, everything goes a little bit on the pear-shaped side, as it very much nearly went on the pear-shaped side for Cameron Dowds there, as everything got a little bit crossed up and a bit sideways there as we came towards that little mini straight. So getting the power down, a little bit of difficulty putting that down, but no real worries there for the Welshman, who now is keeping himself honest and getting his way through the race.
Yes, indeed. And at this phase of the contest, you are just focused on trying to basically get through it at the moment. You're just trying to get through this first phase. Don't get too greedy. Don't try something that could completely ruin any chance of good points today. And then wait for the pit stop phase. We've mentioned already multiple times how tricky it is to overtake. We saw that in our race at Silverstone. We are witnessing it here in Budapest as well, a circuit which we already know is quite difficult to try and forge your way through. So the only thing you can do right now is try to stick with your race rival at the moment, as well as make sure you have enough battery, because in case a chance does pop up, you need to be there to take it. There won't be chances coming your way every single lap. It'll be, if there is any chances that do come, if there is any opportunistic moves that could be on the line, you absolutely have to take it, or it could be stitching to the wheel tracks for a few laps more, as we're about to tick over to lap number 6 of this race, round 6. PSGL PCF season that is absolutely flying by, and we are getting cars coming into the pit lane, and that includes Joe Murphy along with Cameron Dowd, Gephardt Santos and Lukowski. Those four find themselves coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, an interesting option to come in quite early on in this race. I presume they'll be trying to go to the end of this race on that set of hard compound tyres, which is 29 laps. That's a long distance to take a set of hard compound tyres on, but clearly feeling a bit confident. For some reason, the camera angles were not working in my favour there as I tried to pick up Joe Murphy leaving the pits, but it clearly looks like we might be going for a bit of a two-stop.
Does. Well, I mean, the strategies earlier on in the season. Lately we've had one stops. We did have some two stops in play when it came to our earlier rounds, and it did really make races quite a lot entertaining, as that's a moment for Tony Hietala regathering, getting his foot back to the floor, and was he battling there up ahead with the Red Bulls? Could that have been the moment that possibly cost him? He'll be disappointed with that one, and he'll now have to try and regain touch with the cars ahead, as we've got a few more drivers coming into the pit of Halliday, along with also Alves, and Tony Hietala also then elected to come in after that moment as well, getting a 10-second time penalty because he's retiring, so he's our first retirement from the race.
Indeed, quite an early retirement for Tony Hietala, clearly not thinking that was going to be recoverable, and I think that's a bit of an interesting choice so early doors in the race, and he's elected to throw in the towel so early on, and that seems a little bit on the early side in my opinion to throw in the towel. You're only a few laps in, and apparently the race is not worth continuing for Tony Hietala, who has decided it is not his day, but Jan Halliday obviously is the lead driver who's come in so far in this race, and well, he's going to be hopefully gaining a lot of time to the likes of Florian and Leo in front, because he's trying to run a bit of an undercut here, and if it works out well for him, he could well find himself in the lead of the race.
Good indeed. Here we go then with Ripassa and Stevens and Imtiaz. A huge haggle joining them. But Tony Hiatola, as you mentioned, quite early, but I think he's a driver right now who's looking for a good result. From what I've seen, from what he's been saying in the F2 chat as well. He's chasing a good result, and he basically fell after that moment. There wasn't a chance of it. Yeah, he's having a lot of those moments. He definitely needs a bit of confidence to definitely return his way. It's been a little bit of a struggle for him lately. So let's see whether he will be able to bounce back next time out at the Bahrain International Circuit.
Indeed, I have no idea what's going on with the TV director in this game, because for some reason every pit lane shot is focusing on the pit lane for like 30 seconds longer than it needs to, and I have no idea why, as Jan Halliday not able to undercut Luca Ripassa. So Luca Ripassa remains in the provisional race lead. Jan Halliday will have to settle for second fiddle for the time being. He may well find himself ahead though of Angelo Di Ortenzio, because there wasn't that big of a gap. The gap between Luca Ripassa and Angelo Di Ortenzio was about 0.8 of a second or so when Luca Ripassa came in. So that gap's only going to have shrunk and gone more in the favour of Ripassa and Halliday. But I wonder if there's a bit of a difference of strategy here, because Angelo does not appear to be coming in anytime soon. The only difficulty is he won't have any DRS or anyone to play a bit of DRS chicken with to try and help him out, whereas everyone behind has that benefit. That long train is going to come up very quickly.
You can, as the top six continue on in formation. You are getting a close battle at the moment between Alves and Joe Murphy, the British driver right now just ahead for the moment. At the back, that's tidy stuff into the first turn. Lukomski moving up to 16th. He gets past the Haas man, who drops down right now to the last running position in the race. At the moment it's 1.7 seconds between first and second place. We also, of course, do get Ripassa, who is leading the group, leading the gaggle, the net lead at the moment. He has Halliday to try to stay with him and try and see whether another podium, he'll of course want to elevate that to a win, but to at least see whether there's a consistent P3 or P2-1 once again, if it can't be the win by the end of this contest. But still there's a long way to go, and it was still with them where we got the curveball thrown with the safety car, a late safety car. Who knows? There are so many possibilities, and it is absolutely not over till it's over. We've seen a lot of races, Byron, also, that have been decided in the stewards room. So we're going to hope that today we can decide it ourselves out here on circuit.
Indeed, yeah, it would be nice to have a result that's not affected by the stewards. We've had quite a few of those so far, but yeah, we will absolutely see what happens as a dive down the inside from Nelson Alves on Joe Murphy, side by side as they exit out of turn number one. Who is going to be later on the brakes? Well, is no contest. Nelson Alves with that DRS powers by and is comfortably ahead of Joe Murphy as we head into that turn two braking zone, and now Joe Murphy is going to be caught in the dirty air as well of Nelson Alves. So Liam Stevens could even fancy his chances here as we are getting on quite nicely. Nelson Alves wanting to run his own race here and, well, made that move very nicely, very smoothly, and is up into ninth.
Here's at the moment. That is how the race is looking like. As we currently see Halliday lose out that 1 second to Ripassa, who is trying to break clear. Luca Ripassa, the driver who sits fourth place in the point battle, and he may sit fourth place, but he's only been on the podium once, and he of course got that one in our season opening round at Austria. Ever since then, there's been fourth and fifth being rotated race after race after race, so he's definitely being very consistent, but he'd love to be able to take a maiden victory of the season. Will Luca Ripassa, always such a great talent and a driver which you can rely on. Liam Stevens is a great driver which you can rely on when it comes to overtaking, and he's just done that. He has made his way through on Joe Murphy. If you remember back, Byron, to Silverstone, Liam Stevens went for a different strategy, got a major offset, and he had to produce a lot of the overtaking in a race where we didn't have many of it.
Indeed, yeah, Liam Stevens, I think, was one of the real outliers in that race. He was making a lot of moves. He had a massive tyre offset. It worked so nicely in his favour. Obviously, it came a little bit undone towards the end because, well, that safety car meant everyone could pit. But he did manage to do something a little bit different. And it did work in his favour in the end because he was not looking on for a good result. But, you know, he did manage to salvage a little bit out of the race.
Absolutely. He absolutely was able to, with one of the great drives. 13th on the grid all the way to the victory. It was definitely one of those days which, well, the original penalty may have not made it look like it, but it was one of those days that he'll absolutely want to remember, and it could be a critical part of his championship. That's another move. He's now got past Nelson Alves this time around. So Stevens moving his way up. Fanselter has been passed by Ripassa. Ripassa starting to come up to a bit of traffic now as well. And he's going to attempt to turn him before he will sit in behind. He's not going to go for it there, but he is going to have major overspeed. Could be something magical maybe in the second sector because he'll have all the grip in the world. And this is where the 2-stop meets the 1-stop. Ripassa trying to get to the inside, and Leo Lund shutting the door left and right and not allowing a path through.
Indeed, yeah, Leo Lund is really posing a bit of a brick wall here as down the inside he goes and tries to make that move. He'll try and stick it around the outside. Surely he's going to have the grip to do it. Argy-bargy between the RB and Red Bull. And Luca Ripassa wins out on that occasion as in the background Jan Halliday makes a move on Florian there and gets himself up into 7th on the road. But yeah, that is an absolutely unreal send from Luca Ripassa, and as well, Jan Halliday in the background. Both of them having to get the elbows out here. I wonder if Conrad Bohm will try and be that much of a blockade. He's not going to put up any contest here into turn number 1. Surely not, as Jan Halliday is now going to be trying to make his own move on Leo Lund, and well, could be a little bit easier. Simon Komsky retiring from the race, the second retiree. So a difficult day in the office for him as well. He's really not had much luck this season.
Yeah, bar the one result he got last time. Not a lot of luck, as you mentioned. It's going to be another one to forget, unfortunately for him. But yeah, Leo Lund going defensive up against Ripassa. I think, well, they're both 3rd and 4th in the championship. They're both in the championship battle, so you might be on a different strategy, but you're not going to do what Conrad Bohm is doing, who is in the championship battle. You are going to get your elbows out, and you are going to try and make yourself a contender to get a good result, and maybe even try and limit what your rivals can manage from this race as well. Jan Halliday trying to get the power down. Let's see what Leo Lund's going to do there. Once again, blocks it in the middle of the road. Halliday, a driver who's also starting to come alive when it comes to this championship, and he'll want to try get this move done on Leo Lund, as we will bring him around the final few corners. Leo Lund will come into the pit lane, so luckily for Halliday, he will not have to navigate past the Red Bull in his path. So he's going to move out of the way. It will come into the pit along with Conrad Bohm. So those two now making their move in terms of the strategy.
Indeed, but look at the gap that's opened up between himself and Luca Ripassa. They were separated by less than a second. Now all of a sudden that gap is 3.4 seconds between Jan Halliday and Luca Ripassa. So you just see the impact that really carving through the traffic like a hot knife through butter really had such a huge impact on Luca Ripassa's race here, because he was just able to sail off into the sunset, run at his own pace, whereas Jan Halliday stuck behind other cars. He really had a difficult time getting through that traffic and only got past them when they pit, and that's a 3.5 second difference there. And that 3.5 seconds could mean quite a few places come the end of the race, and this could be Luca Ripassa almost off in his own little land for the rest of the race, providing no one else is really able to provide much of a contest. But he's still got some moves to make, and well, he's got Pasquale Ranieri next up.
Does indeed. That'll be the next driver that he will be trying to overtake. Molnano Bolt. One of the great drives of the season, Saudi Arabia, where he found himself as a contender, and he was a reserve driver, but absolutely was going for it. Easy move, possibly coming up into the first turn, as the Racing Bulls driver Ripassa dives to the inside. Ranieri tries to make it a bit of a drag race, So he's still got to try and defend this one. He has a look up the inside, and he's going to back out of that one. Ripassa allowed through and takes the place.
A bit of a mistake there on the exit. Ripassa was lucky to not invite a re-overtake from Ranieri, but making that re-overtake would have been quite difficult given the aging tyres that the Pasquale Ranieri and Angelo D'Ortenzio are both on. But those mediums, as pointed out by Dylan Warren, and as I was just about to mention, must be feeling absolutely awful. They must be so second-hand. I mean, the time that is being gained here between Luca Ripassa and Angelo D'Ortenzio is absolutely monumental. I mean, that gap already has gone down from about 4.7 to now 4.3. It is really absolutely plummeting here. Now 4.2, 4.1. You really see how that gap is plummeting because those tyres just don't have the grip to give them. And now Luca Ripassa within 4 seconds of the leading man. And, well, the two-stop is definitely looking a lot more viable.
It was described to us in the live chat by lots of people, suggesting possibly it could be equal. Some even saying that the two-stop is faster, so I guess we're going to see it all play out, and we're going to see it all work out across this phase of the race. Definitely make this a good strategy battle, even if the on-track passing may not be taking place absolutely every single second of the race like we've been used to with previous games. As at the moment, Dowd looks to try see whether there's a pass possible on Tulki, who is the driver ahead for the moment. So the Aston Martin drivers of Halliday and Stevens that are both together as well. But this is turning out to be quite the interesting race, isn't it, Byron? When it comes to this strategy, we're still trying to work out how this one is going to play. Let us know in the chat on your thoughts in terms of which stop is faster, because we're seeing a great discussion go on about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, two stops seems to be much faster on pure pace, and well, the difference between the two was so great. Angelo D'Ortenzio into the pit lane. Luca Ripassa takes the lead of the race on the road now this time, but look at the gap. Jan Halliday 5 seconds behind. That is an absolute mountain to try and climb. It said 5 seconds for a second. Don't think it's properly updated. Now it's 4 seconds. Showing between the two. That's a mountain to try and climb in this race. Angelo D'Ortenzio, after pitting, comes out in 12th. So the one stop could work, but he's going to have some great pace on the hard tyres that he's going to take to the end of the race here. And he's got to hope that the likes of Luca Ripassa, Liam Stevens and Jan Halliday get caught up in traffic. If that happens, he's got a chance. But it's going to be difficult.
Indeed, that is going to be difficult. So complex when it comes to this race with all of the strategies, but it's great to be able to see it all play out. So it's Ripassa, of course, at the front, but Stevens in second, Halliday in third, Alves is in fourth, and it's Sergio Sabrino in P5, and then it's Joe Murphy, then Reyes Imtiaz, then Larry Tulki, Cameron Dowd, and Gabo Kashontos, who is in 10th place at the moment. But you've had lots of drivers who've gone on for this strategy, have the fresher set of tyres now, and Molnar absolutely pushing Kashontos through, and he's going to try and make the move down the start-finish straight in towards turn number 1.
Yeah, Kashontos is having a bit of a difficult race here. He's now finding himself properly outside the points here as Andrei Molnar ahead up into 10th place. Opportunities to respond, no doubt. There's got a bit of a gap in front, but Kashontos is on that two-stop strategy and struggling a little bit more, I think, in this race. Now those tyres are probably beginning to feel a little bit more second-hand, and these drivers are on very fresh tyres, surely not around the outside. Yeah, Kashontos very careful and conservative there, and let Angelo D'Ortenzio through on him. I don't think Leo Lund's going to get the same treatment. He'll get held up a little bit here, and this is part of what will also benefit those who are doing that two-stop strategy, because others who are on the two-stop can hold up those on a one-stop and benefit the likes of Luca Ripassa out in front.
Absolutely. At the moment, Leoland, the next one is going to try and go on the attack of Kashontos, who, as I mentioned, trying to bounce back after the contact that he had, race-ending contact, Silverstone, which triggered our safety car. Leoland with also around to forget at Silverstone, trying to salvage something and trying to make sure that he keeps himself as a proper contender when it comes to the championship. There won't even be a contest with how much Kashontos was sliding of the 14th corner on the circuit, and the Swedish driver goes on by. Leoland moves on through. Further up ahead though, that's going to be Diortensio, who will be fighting his way by on Molnar. Now these two with a similar strategy, but 2 laps fresher tyres for Diortensio sends him past Molnar and up to 10th at the moment.
Indeed, yeah. Angelo is looking very fast in this race as he sets a personal best sector there in Sector 1. That's not a surprise at all. But he's got a real mountain to climb in this race. That 2-stop is looking potent. It is looking like the way to go in this race. And it is a struggle. It is absolutely a struggle, but Luca Ripassa has had a struggle of his own. He's found himself off the road, and someone's taking avoiding action there. That was Sergio Sabrino. Luca Ripassa early on in the race made a mistake and went a bit wayward. He's done it again, this time just more extreme, off the road, and that gap that he had that looked so dead on has absolutely gone undone. You've got to feel for him. You really have. That is one way to absolutely take your chances of winning this race from near 100%, well, to quite slim now, because he's got quite a few cars that he'd have to overtake.
Absolutely, that is such a disappointment for Ripassa. He was doing everything well until that point, and he will see the opportunity, he will see the chance fade away, as it's going to be now it's going to be quite the disappointment for him. He was running quite the race, wasn't he? And you have to feel for him as he was trying his best to contend, but now finds himself behind these drivers. And that's such a hard job now to try and get past all of them once again, but he was pulling away. He had a gap which drivers would love to across this season. He had that, he built it up, and then it all goes within one moment of big consequence. But what this is going to now do is it's going to basically just enable another thing in him. He's going to absolutely go on the attack. His driving will definitely be much more on the charge after they do this pit stop phase, which they're going through now. So they're going to basically end it and make their way into the pit lane as they try to get it slowed down. They're getting very, very close as they entered the pit lane. But here we go. They all now start coming into the pit lane, and keep an eye on Ripassa. He will want to go on the attack and then some on the final stage of the race.
Yeah, Luca Ripassa is not going to be happy with himself. I'm sure there's going to be a bit of beating himself up here as well. He knows the mistake he made, and he knows the effect it will have on his race. He comes out in 13th. He would have been ahead of all of this train. He would have been ahead of Jan Halliday. He would have come out in 8th place if he hadn't have made that mistake. But as a result of that mistake, he's out in 13th. And you've got to remember, he was comfortably ahead of Jan Halliday by a few seconds. He could have even come out in the likes of P6 or possibly even P5 with the gap that he had. But he's got a absolute mountain to climb now, has Luca Ripassa, and well, all of a sudden that one stop is looking a little bit on the better side, because you've got to say Luca Ripassa was the one real threat, you know, to this race, and he's got a bit argy-bargy and he's gone around again. Luca Ripassa, hot-headed, absolute fuming, but as a result his fumes have taken him over the edge as he runs wide, as he goes side by side with the race here. He's giving us a good squabble, a good battle, but it is not clean and fair racing. It is absolutely hot-headed. He is angry in the cockpit. The fumes are, you can see them out of the back, surely. He is going to be absolutely teeming.
He will. And, well, this is the moment where he needs to think about this championship. He needs to think about other races, as it's going to get very tight into turn 1. Murphy's trying to get through. They both get past Ripassa. So up goes Imtiaz. And now Murphy will try and see whether he's got the battery to make this a battle down to turn 2. But yeah, Ripassa not having any of it, completely going for it. And I was hoping it would trigger something else in terms of a fighting drive, but a calculated drive, learning from that error that he had earlier on. but instead it has led, unfortunately, to a bit of a racing style which is not what we want to see here in F2, but you can understand that after such a moment, it is completely, he just can't basically believe what has happened, and he is completely going for every opportunity, but it's going to be very, very important to now take a breather and consider what he's got ahead and consider the championship battle that he is involved in. Does not want any penalties for future races.
Indeed, yeah, he doesn't want penalties for future races, but he is sat in plumb last now, and that is not where he wanted to be. He could have had this race win, but where is he now? He's plumb last in this race. He shouldn't be for much longer as Gabor Kontos there comes into the pit lane, and Jan Halliday is now the lead driver on that two-stop charge as Luca Ripassa into the pit lane, retires from the race, leaves immediately. That is a man who absolutely knows what he lost tonight, and he knows the impact it will have on his championship and everything that could mean in the grand scheme of things. He had an opportunity, and unfortunately for him, when it mattered most, he made a mistake, and it is all over for Luca Ripassa tonight, and it is not what you want to see from a driver when they drive with that red mist in the cockpit. As fun as it is to see, and as fun as the battles can be, when they're as hot-headed as that, it leads to just more and more mistakes, and it did tonight for him. But Jan Halliday, he's going to see an opportunity in this. He knows that now he is that lead driver on the two-stop. He's got a good opportunity, gain some points over his rivals. He's now got to set his sights as high as he can. 2.7, the gap to the car in front. Conrad Bohm next up.
Yep, that is exactly the case at the moment. The worst result of 5th this season for Ripassa. That is what type of campaign he's put, and he's only been on the podium once. It's been 4th and 5th so many times. Today it will be a DNF, and he will regroup ahead of Bahrain International. That's late on the brakes from the F3 champion from a few seasons ago. Imtiaz going for it on Panzelta. That was so deep. He was never going to make the corner there, and he's lucky. He's lucky to not lose out to Joe Murphy, who would have been waiting for an opportunity to come his way, but that was so late on the brakes, and that was risky stuff from Imtiaz, trying his absolute best to try and catch his rival out, but he will have to become a bit more inventive if he is to get through next lap by.
Indeed, yeah, really difficult, and left for 10 minutes, and Luca is dead. Dylan Warren, he made a mistake. He's had a bit of a moment, lost the lead, was about 5th, came into the pit lane, and, well, was very hot-headed and ended up in last, then continued to make more and more mistakes, and, yeah, just not his day, and, yeah, out of the race, and retired from that one. Will play no further part, but Jan Halliday is trying to make this two-stop work, and he has caught up quite quickly to the first man on his hit list. He's now ahead of Conrad Bohm as Leo Lund, Pasquelli, Ranielli also goes side by side here. You've got to say that Ranielli has got the upper hand here. He absolutely does. DRS, and that's him done and dusted and up onto that podium. But Jan Halliday is definitely in the hunt here, and it could be a third in a row.
Could definitely be the case at the moment as this race continues to unfold in dramatic fashion. It has been exactly that since the race start. Leo Lund will try and stick with the middle, Ranielli to this middle sector at the moment. Red Bull man, as he looks to bounce back after what took place last time out, lap 25 out of 35 in this race. We are going to be reaching the end of this race, the final stage of this race, where it is all going to be coming alive, and where all of the racing and all of the overtaking will definitely be taking place.
Indeed, and I mean, look at the pace Jan Halliday's had. The gap as he overtook Conrad Bohm was about 2.5-3 seconds. He's already now just outside of that 1 second window, 1.2 the gap, 1.3 now. So Jan Halliday, he absolutely knows he has the pace here, and could be delivering a brilliant result for himself, and a good confidence booster to, you know, show that strategy was a good strategy The problem is he has got a 5-second gap to the next car once he gets ahead of Pasquale Ranieri, and there's no guarantee that the tyres are going to hold on that long. So he's got to keep the tyres in good nick between now and the end of the race. After all, there's only a 4-lap difference between Halliday's tyres and Angelo D'Ortenzio in front, so there's not much margin there to play with in terms of the tyre wear that they will be experiencing.
That is the case at the moment, as Liam Stevens looks to try to stick with Alves at the moment. Of course, both riding themselves on the same strategy. We've got Halliday further up the road as he now brings the chase on to Leo Lund, who will definitely be having to look in the mirrors because Halliday's got plenty of battery. He's got the grip as we will navigate our way through turn 14. DRS will be open for Lund and it will be open for Halliday. We'll be getting closer and closer. He will want to try and make the move, as will Leo Lund. Leo Lund wants a move of his own. We'll try and send it around the outside. Meanwhile, Liam Stevens has got past Alves, that's further back. Is there a possible chance for Lund to take us into turn number 2? He's going to get down the inside, but it opens the door for Halliday to try and go the long way round. He's going to be squeezed, but outside will become the inside line. They're going to be banging wheels in a few moments. And now we're heading to turn 4. Surely one of them has to give an inch. Halliday's on the outside and he's going to be sent out wide. It was always going to happen over that curve. And meanwhile, sliding all over the place is Ranieri. It gives Leo Lund the inside line and the chance as Halliday will try and capitalise. 3 cars not separated by anything. Halliday gets forced off and is round momentarily and he's lost out.
Yeah, big loss there for Jan Halliday as he does fall now to 6th place. That was such a good squabble. That was such a good squabble between Leo Lund, Pasquale Ranieri and Jan Halliday, but you just was not going to win trying to go round the outside there into turn number 4, and then just it all kind of came a little bit undone as well as the grass ended up in Jan Halliday's tyres, and that's not what you want at all. But Liam Stevens could absolutely be capitalising here as he could make himself a couple of overtakes here if he gets his race in the right order and prioritises where he's going to make this move. He knows he's got the pace. He knows he's got the tyres versus those in front. It's about making the move strategically in that right moment to have the most impact and get himself into a good place. But that 8-second gap between Leo Lund and Andre Molnar is definitely going to be quite potent, and unfortunately not something I think is going to be chased down in the remaining 7 laps of this race, which really have flown by. It feels like it was only a moment ago we were on lap 12, but Jan Halliday obviously is in a bit of a danger zone here. He may not be able to keep that podium streak going because Liam Stevens is looking on fine form and a look down the inside there on Pasquale Ranieri, but not to be on that occasion.
Indeed, and he is really pushing his rival. Well, I think everyone knows that turn 1's about to get very interesting in a few moments' time with the way how closely they're running to each other. So here we go then. Liam Stevens, expect him to be on the attack. You've got Halliday, you've got Alves, you've got Sabrino all waiting to capitalise as well. First of all, can Ranieri get ahead of Leo Lund? No is the answer to that question. What is the grip of turn 1 for Liam Stevens? Doesn't appear to be the best to try and make a challenge, and somehow they are still going to be single file. Nothing that nothing that Ranieri could do up against Leo Lund, but they are all going to be able to make their way through. It was a tight group of them making their way onto that straight, and luckily they all also made the exit in one piece. But now Ranieri starting to struggle a little bit. Liam Stevens will want to try and go on the attack. It looks like Ranieri might be lagging. We've had that in previous rounds as well, so hopefully it's all okay for those drivers who are around it at the moment. I know that has been an issue they've been saying in the PCF track in prior rounds, but yeah, sometimes battling with Ranieri can be a bit of a tough ask when it's all getting so close. If there is a bit of lag movement as well, so Stevens needs to be cautious with where he places the car as he tries to get through.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. Got to be careful, got to be cautious, and got to pick your moment to perfection. And that's really what you got to do when you've got a bit of a decent moment going on. But Liam Stevens is very close to the back of Pasquale Ranieri. This is where he jumps about 2 metres down the road, which is sod's law probably. But Liam Stevens thinks about the inside, goes down the inside. It's a late move though, and unfortunately it's not worked out for Liam Stevens. He'll slot behind his teammate, but they'll go side by side, and towards turn number 2. It is going to be Liam Stevens slotting in behind Jan Halliday. An audacious move attempted on Pasquale Ranieri, but unfortunately for Liam Stevens, it did not work in his favour. But you see there, Pasquale Ranieri, he is really jolting about the joint. It seems to have really gotten worse in the last few laps. And it seems to be a real consideration these drivers are having to make, because they don't want to do it at the wrong moment, get caught when the car has a little bit of a jolt and all of a sudden they're in the wall, because it's happened before and it will absolutely happen again. You've got to be so careful. But Jan Halliday, he needs to make this move.
Needs to, and this is such a hard situation he's finding himself in at the moment as he tries to get past Ranieri. He knows that the reward, if he isn't able to get through, is high, but then it's basically risk versus reward, because what if there's a moment, what if there's an issue, and there we go, there we go. Ranieri, who was lagging all over the place, a bit of contact as he went into the pit wall, and he's now found himself back ahead of Stevens. Halliday has got through though, Halliday's ahead, that is critical for his race. Ranieri will try and fight back, and he's going to actually force out wide Halliday, he's going to force out wide Halliday. Halliday will definitely not want to go near Ranieri at all after this one, because it's really ruining and hurting his race. Leo Lange will be loving this because he wants to try and pull away, and Ranieri all over the place, and now is the championship leader who has to try and make the move and capitalise. Indeed,
but look at the way Ranieri is trying to re-overtake Jan Halliday, but he's lagging all over the joint, and I have no doubt this is going to be an absolute thing that will get sent to the stewards so many times here, because this is really damaging to the race of everyone, you know, because you just can't predict what's going to happen. The car can jolt at any moment, and all of a sudden, as we saw there in a brief moment, you know, it looked like Pasquale Ranieri had gone into the wall, made contact with it, could have got damaged. You know, like, it's so difficult to predict, and this is what, like, everyone behind is having to weigh up when they make a move. They know they can't get too close, because one wrong movement from that lagging car, it's all over. But Liam Stevens, he's going to want to make the move here, get ahead of Ranieri and be done with it. But is he able to do that on this occasion? He'll head down the straight. He's not close enough to get ahead of Ranieri. He's just got to have to slot in behind and bide his chances, but it's really difficult when you've got a driver that is just moving about as much as Ranieri is. But Halliday, he's going to be looking ahead more than he is behind, because he knows Leo Lund is the target here.
Absolutely. Return 4 we go with these drivers, absolutely making the race come alive as well. Stevens following so closely, and it's the last thing you want going through these corners, to be that close, with how the Mercedes car can be all over the place as well. Halliday will want to get past Leo Lund as soon as possible, just to at least have a car in between. Don't know what's going to happen. He's only been pushed wide into a corner already as Jan Halliday, and he just wants to be safe from this. His teammate and championship leader Liam Stevens still has that goal ahead. He could be left vulnerable to a driver like Sergio Sabrina as well, as we will make our way through turn number 13. We're about to head into the final few stages now, the final few laps of the race. It is Angelo Di Ortenzio leading the way, but at the moment, can Jan Halliday clear Leo Lund? That is the question mark. We're about to get our answer down towards the first turn. It is a tight defence from Leo Lund, and all the way around the outside into the braking zone will attempt to go. The Aston Martin driver trying to get a third place 3 times in a row is Jan Halliday. He's trying to get to the inside line. Our reigning champion from last season is now trying to be a championship contender this season, and he's fighting away with his rivals, and he's fighting his way to P3.
Yeah, that was a beautiful overtake from Jan Halliday, but look at the way Leo Lund wanted to try and mount an attack back into turn number 4. He thought about it for a second, knew it just was not going to happen, but a lovely squabble between the two. But look at the way Jan Halliday's already pulling the gap out, 7 tenths of a second, now nearly 8 tenths of a second. He's really trying to set off into the sunset, see what he can do. Conrad Bohm, the 4th retirement of the evening, as he was really not looking for much. That's both RBs and both McLarens out of this race. And yeah, not a day to remember for either team. But look at Jan Halliday already out of that 1 second window. Leo Lund won't get DRS. That could invite the lag fest that is Pasquale Ranieri back ahead of Leo Lund, because Leo's not going to have DRS down the straight. You'll see he immediately pulls to the right to get rid of as much slipstream for the Mercedes. Look at the Mercedes jolt all about. Where is it? You've got to hedge your bets that it's somewhere on the racetrack, but just where is it? Well, it's now behind Liam Stevens, and that's going to be much to his liking, because he knew that that was going to be a difficult move today.
Oh, Sergio Sabrino was right behind the steamer, had to get out of it and nearly loses a place to Alves as well. And now it's his teammate who will be the next one as he tries to manage the situation. This is turning out to be quite the nightmare. Ranieri, who I was speaking to earlier on as well, not feeling the best, has a bit of a fever as well. So not having quite the day, I'm sure, but right now the drivers, all of them around him, also currently having to deal with his lag at the moment, making the racing, making passing quite difficult, and where to pass as well.
Yeah, a difficult race, I think, for quite a few drivers. He might be feeling a bit under the weather, but he's still trying to race his heart out, as much as it is very difficult to go side by side. What a 3 wide moment in towards the final couple of bends, and Leo Lund, a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Whether that's lag involved, we will find out, sure, when there's a steward's report about everything that has ensued on track. But we're on to the final lap of action, and we've barely talked about the man leading the race, Angelo D'Ortenzio. He's now 4 seconds ahead of Andre Molnar. He is in a bit of a league of his own. 18 laps on those tyres. That 2-stop did not work, simply because Luca Ripassa was so hot-headed after that incident. It just really undid the chance that the 2-stop would have worked. But it is going to be a race to remember for Angelo D'Ortenzio. He's the man who's had, well, 5 pole positions in a row, and well, hasn't really had much when it comes to luck always in the race results. But this is going to be a pole to win that he is definitely going to be very pleased with. He didn't have a huge amount of fighting for it, but sometimes that is just how you want it. Yellow flag in sector 2, I believe that is for one of the Haas cars. But Angelo D'Ortenzio wins the race, and Andre Molnar will come across the line in 2nd place and will take a very well-deserved podium. But it is 3 in a row for Jan Halliday as he comes across the line and takes 3rd. Liam Stevens in 4th. Sergio Sabrino, Pasquale Ranieri, and Leo Lund coming across the line. He does have a penalty though, so he will fall further down. Will it be appealed? That is a question for the stewards. But Angelo D'Ortenzio, what a race. He absolutely was in control of that race, especially the moment Luca Ripassa made that unfortunate mistake.
Yeah, that was race costing, and it's going to leave it with a lot of work to do in the next few rounds. Let's run you through the full results. That it was D'Ortenzio who ended as the winner, taking a 2nd win of the season. Molnar getting a deserved podium, and 3 P3s in a row for Jan Halliday. Liam Stevens was in 4th, and then it was Sabrino who beat his very laggy teammate, unfortunately today, Ranieri, and then Alves, Dowd, Imtiaz, and Laurie Tilke finished in 10th. London 11th, Fanzelter in 12th, then it was Murphy, Kashontos, Conrad Bohm, Luca Ripassa, Lukumski, and Hietala, the bottom 3, the bottom 4 really, including Bomu, pits to retire as well. All of those being counted as DNFs from this race. And, well, that's the full result for you, everybody. I know there was a lot of drama because we didn't scroll down last week. We have scrolled down this week, and we have got you a full result from this contest.
Yes, my bad. It's been a while,
Yeah.
but
Some debut performance.
yes, indeed. Rookie errors made last week, no doubt. But a rookie error, unfortunately, for Luca Ripassa, who I really, really feel for. Because it's so difficult when you get a little bit hot-headed to keep not to keep it screwed on, but to keep that focus and zoned in. And I think he did struggle to keep zoned in after that incident. And yeah, I really do feel for him. I do hope we can get to hear from our top three. So I'm going to drop him a ping now. But talk to me. What did you think about that race?
But it was decent. Definitely had a lot more going on than Silverstone. I think it's fair to say, and I think everyone needed that after a bit more of a calmer Silverstone round. Of course, F2 wasn't going to remain calm for long. It always finds ways to entertain us and delivers in terms of action. So it was completely back in action, and I'm sure that's going to be the same at Bahrain next out. That is going to be really fun to watch. It's going to be really interesting to see how the racing around that circuit's going to play out. And with what we've seen across this season so far, I think it definitely could be something to watch as well.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to be a really interesting end to the season. You know, we're already at that halfway point, you know, and that race really shows some of the best that can come out of racing, but also some of the heartbreaks that can come from racing as well. Some of the squabbles that we had, such a difficult circuit to overtake, but they really were squabbling and fighting so hard, and deservedly so. These drivers are racing, you know, for a lot of, you know, I would say bragging rights, but they're also racing for recognition from the top teams, you know, and we've got to look at the facts here, and a bad day in the office is a bad day for your championship, and that impact is certainly really, really going to be felt for the likes of, you know, Luca Ripassa. That's a huge detriment to his championship, but it's also a great uplift for the likes of Jan Halliday and Andre Molnar, who we shall speak to in a second.
Absolutely, it will be really great. It will be really great to be able to speak to him as well, and great to have the drivers all waiting to speak to
Indeed.
us here in the commentary box.
Yes, let's hear from Jan Halliday, your third place driver on the road today. Well, Jan Halliday, 3 podiums in a row, 3 third places in a row. That's not some bad consistency, and certainly a good way to strike a bit of fear into those around you who maybe haven't had the best when it comes to consistency. The 2-stop versus the 1-stop, though, an interesting choice. What made you think the 2-stop was going to pan out that little bit quicker? Was it a little bit hit and miss, or was it supposed to be quite clear-cut?
Well, in the practice, we knew it's faster, purely on pace. I didn't know that I will get Pascal in my way, who had like the worst internet ever, and we just couldn't get past him because he was lagging all over the place. But that goes with the 2-stop. You know, we are risking that you get stuck in the traffic like I did today. So the risk didn't pay off. Also, my pace today in the race was like, I think the worst race pace of the season for me today. I was so slow. Like Luca Ripassa gapped me easily. So yeah, overall not really happy with the race, but considering the circumstances, you know, I could have been in the wall as well. So P3 is good, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. A few hairy moments between Pasquale, Ranieri, and obviously everybody else. His internet had a fair few issues. Would be a bit of a light-hearted statement, I think, on that one. A moment on Luca Ripassa. Did you think he had a shot of winning the race had the mistake not crept in? You know, obviously, as you said, he was quite a fair few seconds in front. Do you think if you'd been with Luca Ripassa and was kind of right with him, do you think he could have carried you to a race win today, or do you think it was never really on the cards?
Well, not the race win, but I think we would catch Angelo at least at the front. Again, it depends where we would come out after the second pit stop. You know, with Pascal, Leo, and stuff, they were defending very hard. But I don't think I had the pace to keep up with him today. Like, I was just slow. So yeah, it was the plan to keep up with him. I think we could have managed that, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Questions from you, Emmy?
Well, Halid, I'd love to talk a little bit about the championship fight that you could possibly be entering yourself in completely. You were, of course, our champion last season in PCF2. How well does that leave you to try contend for it this season if the pace possibly improves in the second half?
Honestly, I don't think the pace was that bad during this season. Like I've been really consistent. I feel like not the peak. I mean, there are very much faster guys like Angelo. He's on another level now. But yeah, I missed one race where I lost some points. You know, I might miss some more in the future. So I don't really think I'm going for the championship this season. Anything can happen. You know, I can get 5 wins in a row and I can be there. But yeah, I'm just hoping to continue this kind of podium streak and keep up the consistent points.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Great to speak to you, and we wish you best of luck next time out in Bahrain.
All right, thank you very much, guys. See you.
Yeah, well, I love to talk to Jan Halliday. He's always a real pleasure to talk to because he always gives you like a really good insight. Because obviously, you know, he's got really top level experience. You know, so he's always got some very good takes on it. Interesting to hear he doesn't think the championship's on the cards. 3 podiums in a row. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'd say he's in contention to an extent. But let's hear from Andre Molnar, who was second place. Amy, kick off the questions.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome in to the commentary box, Andre Molnar. How did that one go for you then? Of course, you're a reserve driver this season, so was it good to be back in the seat as well after your brilliant performance in Jeddah, your brilliant pace in Jeddah? It was great to have you back so far. It was great to have you back this season. So how did that one go for you?
Yeah, hello everyone, first of all. I want to congratulate everyone for this race. Yeah, well, I'm really happy. Honestly, the preparation for this race was a bit hard for me because I didn't have my teammates to prepare with me, so it was a bit harder than usual. But thankfully, it rained in the qualifying. Basically, the qualifying was the most important thing in this race because if I didn't start from this position, we would have never had the chance to do a one-stop strategy that could work this well. I tried my best to keep up with Angelo throughout the race, but unfortunately my tire wear was probably a bit higher than Angelo, and I had to take care of my tires much more than him. And that's why I lost the DRS to him in the first stint and then in the second stint at the end as well. Because I finished both stints on 80% tires, so it was 100% calculated. Yeah, I'm really happy, honestly. I'm a bit disappointed that I'm not full-time during this season, because I think I could have had the chance to finish top 5 in the standings. But other than that, I'm really happy to at least race in Hungary at my home race. I really love this track and I really enjoyed the race, and congratulations to Angelo. He had an amazing pace, and also I want to thank my engineer for creating this amazing strategy. So thank you, Timbo, for the engineering, and yeah, basically that's all that happened.
Fair enough.
Very interesting race, wasn't it, Byron? Very interesting race for him.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think quite sums it up. But you mentioned it was a really fine decision between the 1-stop and the 2-stop. Was it solely based off of where you started? If you'd started, say, 10th or kind of a little bit further down, would you have gone for the 1-stop or would you have absolutely gone for that 2-stop?
Yeah, well, if I started like outside of top 5, I would have definitely done the 2-stop. But from like when you are starting from the front, it's much easier to do 1-stop strategies. I'm sorry, and you could see that Jan Halliday and Liam Stevens got held up a bit by the train, and we were hoping that would happen. So that's what happened. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it was calculated, and it was absolutely calculated to perfection. But another P2, another P2 for the championship, and well, a good result for you as an individual. Not bad for a reserve. Definitely looks good for future seasons as well. But go and enjoy your evening, and we shall look forward to hopefully seeing you sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. Goodbye.
Take care. I love talking to these F2 drivers because they, it's so interesting to hear like the way that they would have approached that race just based off of where they started. It seems simple on the surface. Of course, if you're further down, you're gonna go for that more aggressive strategy. You try and make some moves up, but really understanding like how they process that as they weigh up their options is so interesting, and it definitely was the right call to go for that one stop if you were towards the front today.
It was. It definitely was. And that's the type of strategy race that we want. Of course, with there not being a lot of slipstream in the game, I think it's fair to say, from what the drivers have been reporting, it's quite difficult, and it's great that we're still able to get something that can transform or change races, which the drivers have ability, will have control over as well in terms of strategy. When possible, of course, not every round the two-stop works faster, works in a decent way even. So it's important overall, I think. It's important overall that we do hopefully get enough slipstream put in, because it would definitely change this game to a completely whole level. I think we could get some great races. But, I mean, these F2 drivers are finding ways to entertain us, even with the current conditions that we are under right now.
Indeed, yeah, definitely an interesting one. But, as we were saying on the pre-show, this is probably one of 2 circuits between now and the end of the season where overtaking is particularly difficult, and the calendar is certainly going to be quite interesting when it comes to overtakes and action between now and the end of the season, Omi.
Well, it's going to be quite interesting indeed, as you mentioned. Of course, we will round number 7 next time out, and then we'll find ourselves heading to Texas, Japan, Vegas. Well, that's going to be dramatic on the Vegas trip, I can already imagine. Brazil, I don't think needs much of a preview. That's our penultimate round of the season, and we of course end our campaign at Mexico City, where hopefully we will see a champion crown. We want it to go all the way till the end, and hopefully we'll have a great fight as well all the way till the end of that. All the way to the end of this season. I think Mexico is going to be quite the finale. But yeah, we've got some great rounds, and all of them take place. Japan will be tricky, but as drivers have proven today, anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of them where right strategy, right time, right situation, you can absolutely manage an overtake, even at the most challenging of circuits, brackets excluding Monaco. But I think that's pretty much just about all we have time for tonight, because, well, the action's done, the interviews are done, we've talked about the calendar. All that's done is to sign us off and whisk us away beyond that halfway point. Next time out, Bahrain. Well, it probably won't rain in Bahrain, but it's certainly going to be pretty interesting when it comes to overtakes.
Well, it's going to be action galore, hopefully, and plenty of overtaking chances. Of course, you get one detection point down the start-finish straight, and then another one towards time 4, and then you have one down the back straight as well towards turn 11. So there's plenty of chances to make some overtakes, and these F2 drivers have proven they can even battle through the corners. So looking forward to it. Could definitely be, if we look at the end of the season, if we look at all of the races that we've had, I think there is definitely a high chance that it could end up being one of the greats of the season.
Indeed, absolutely. Well, it is all we have time for tonight, unfortunately, but there is plenty more racing action still to come. If you want more of your racing fix, you've got E-Series on tomorrow. Then next week, on Monday, you will have when PlayStation head to Hungary for their 6th round of the season. And then Wednesday, you should have PC F1 returning for yet another round of action. And then the day after, Thursday the 21st at 8 PM, we will go live once more for more of PCF2 when we head to Bahrain, head for a duel in the desert, and we take, hopefully, ourselves past that halfway point with plenty more action and racing still to happen. But until we return and cross that halfway point and head to the desert, take care. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week. Take care. We will see you soon. But until then, bye-bye.